So just in case that gets front ran, I'm gonna look to long this tomorrow, not today, because we've printed two single prints. So that basically means just like imbalance is created, right? So most likely we either just chop for the rest of the day or keep going lower. So I'd rather set this limit for tomorrow. If this gets filled tomorrow, then I'll be more confident than it getting filled today, right? But yeah, we finally took out the poor lows that we had here. So TPO poor lows. If you guys don't know, usually when a high or a low gets put in, it needs to be at least like, one block of whatever time frame you're using on the TPO, because if it's higher than that, then it's not it's considered a poor and high low, right? If the market spent too much time at like local high or local low, it means that at some point we'll probably return there. You usually want to see at a local high or local low like a quick rejection, right? Nothing, no too like not much business being done but down there basically. You just want like a quick rejection. So for example, this here as well, right? Poor highs. So that also means unfinished business. This was a quick rejection here, so that was not a poor high. If you want this indicator, just search up on TradingView market profile TPO levels, and it will give you everything. My settings, these are just the normal settings I've put on, but it's basically just like the default basically, and it's the exact same as using like any other platform like MMT or whatever. It just means you don't have to create an account now. Just you have the level straight on TradingView. But essentially, yeah, I'm still interested in, if we do get back up here in the future, I'm still interested in shorting that. But locally, we do have some levels of interest around us. If I just mark them out real quick, let me see here. So yeah, so here we have actually an MPOC up here. So actually closer to us, we could even try a scalp short here, because these are poor highs as well. So this is sort of what I'm thinking locally to open a scalp. So let me pop that in chat. All right. Let me turn on the labels as well. So yeah, 64.24.5 and 61.402. Those are my POIs right now. In between, I'm not really going to try trade. Just don't want to get chopped up in this market. It's not been a great month for scalp specifically, but yeah. So let me know if you guys have any odds you want me to look at as well. So yeah, those are the two PRs I'm watching right now. I think we do probably go lower today, and then if ideally the daily candle. If I just quickly show you guys, if the daily candle today closes above the point of control, the volume, right, based point of control. So currently it's sitting at 62.3. If it closes above, I think the low is in. So then I would look for a scalp long tomorrow. Similarly today we closed the daily candle below the POC. So we closed it here, right? Had a small retrace in Asia, and then it was pretty much down only since then. So I think it pays a lot of attention to see where the daily candle closes to get some sort of bias, right? So similarly here at the when was this? June 16th, right? We can see here again we closed the daily below the point of control here, below 65.7. Yes, it did give a retrace up, but look how the candle closed, right? Very bearish. So whether, you can kind of get a good bias whether, if you can see here, this is a little bit of alpha, right? So if the daily candle closes above the point of control, you can assume that that low stays protected, that daily low stays protected the next day, right? So this was tight here. This was very tight, but it still didn't hit, right? Next candle, let's look. A point of control, we closed around, if I measure this, it wasn't, it wasn't a massive close below this point of control, but it was still a close below, right? It was still a close below. And that daily high stayed protected. Same thing with the next candle. Point of control was here. We closed the daily candle here. Next candle, right, the next day after, we went nowhere near that high. Same thing here. Point of control, we closed the point of control miles below the daily candle close here, right? Daily candle close was here. Almost a 1 grand point move up, right? And that daily low also stayed protected. So, I'm going to be watching these from now on. And also, I've been watching them for a while, but it's more so like bias forming than like, waiting for a setup. But I will be watching whether we close the daily candle below or above the point of control today. So currently it's sitting at 62.3. So if it closes above, then I'm going to basically look for scalp longs tomorrow, because I have to assume that this low will stay protected if we do close back above the point of control. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Bitcoin locally. Not much else to cover there. I'll also, let me look at ETH as well. Ethereum, hold on. Oh no, Solana. Let's take a look at Sol. I need to adjust this really quickly. All right. So for Sol, I was thinking of this idea is because Sol already sort of broke down below the range. So it's a little bit different to Bitcoin, where it hasn't necessarily broken down. But, higher time frame, it does look a bit weaker than Bitcoin, if I'm going to be honest. So, for example, like we had a range here, right? And like this kind of looks like a lower high potentially. We don't know yet, obviously. But I am watching for like intraday levels to scout. Like more locally, if we do go higher to the point of control, hold on, let me turn this off. If we do go higher to retest like, 84 and Sol, or even 81, right, the previous value area low, then I'm expecting, if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen from here, this demand zone here, which lines up with like the point of control of this kind of like price action, right, currently. So I'll probably leave a limit long there. I'm still deciding whether to leave a limit or just wait for a reaction and try find like a break of structural lower time frame, then enter. That would probably be a safer bet than, because it could easily also just break through down here. So it's risky. But if I also see massive short orders coming in, right, then that also would be a trigger for me lower time frame. So it really depends. I honestly would rather wait for a reaction first, but I'll put the levels in the chat as well. So around here, I think it makes sense for me on Sol at least. So, all right, Discord's loading. There we go. All right, Also wanted to look at, hold on, to check this watch list. ETH. I don't know why ETH is here. I think I was on the wrong watch list. Some of my things were bugging out. Let me check ETH. I actually haven't looked at ETH since 2 days ago, I think. Okay. Alright, so this was my previous idea, so I remember this now. So it's like around break even, but I'm not in this obviously. Let me see. Yeah, I wouldn't take this just based off like my bias on Bitcoin. I do think we see a little bit lower today. Yeah, the idea of what right was like we would probably sweep this demand here, and then like sort of like form a PO3 setup, but this does not look like a PO3. This just, I want to remove this because I'm not in this. This does not look like a PO3 to me, if I'm honest. And we closed below that demand, so this just looks more like we're flipping it to supply. Let me redraw this because I changed my chart colors. So yeah, this doesn't look super sexy, if I'm honest. Kind of lines up with my Bitcoin bias that we go a little bit lower. Let me see if there are any MPOCs below us. Alright, let me just let it load. It takes a while. Okay. Poor lows here at 1562. So we have an MPOC, but it's quite a bit lower. There's no like this was really nice, this retest here, but obviously I didn't take that. Kind of literally just retested. I think it might have even front ran the 618, but it did like kind of reject in between MPOC and Joe 618 here. So that was nice. I don't anyone caught that. I honestly don't have a super clean setup apart from just like seeing these poor lows get taken and then long in the MPOC here. And like you could also argue like last stand demand. That can even, I reckon this down candle was pretty, it's pretty much do or die here before we just take the low. So like from a risk reward perspective, honestly, like it's maybe more so a level to scalp more than you could swing it obviously, but yeah, I don't. What does anyone think? Anything different? Something like this maybe. I think that's a wide enough stop. If it goes here, I think it goes back to the low. You could do a wider one, but I want to see action off the MPOC, not anything. If it just turbos through, then I get stopped on this. So I think the thing with naked point and control is both like volume based and time based is that like it either sees a reaction or it doesn't, right? It's not really, it's more so based off like if we go back to the previous day or whatever, you know, a point of control that from like a previous day that we haven't retested. The idea is that like buyers have to step in there or sellers if it's, you know, a bearish, right? If we're above. So like I'll give you like this was a good example. So we hadn't retested this like the whole day. We were basically um, back in Wednesday last week. We were like we formed I guess like a mini range here, right? But we hadn't retested it since how long is this? I'll say this was almost 4 days without retesting. So clearly that's where like seller stepped up again, right? Um, Obviously there are instances where, for example, this daily, this MPOC here, it just kind of it didn't give a reaction at all. So that would have been a loss if you just took a scalp there. The next one after that was here. So if you took a scalp of this MPOC, you printed pretty nicely. So it's I think it gives good confluences, right? You don't want to just long based of an MPOC. You want to see what other confluences are at that level, right? So for me, I don't see too many other POIs here. I think Bitcoin looks a lot cleaner, like POIs. Some okay, not bad. I think they got like at least even like the trad fights, like one of the months that has like the least liquidity. But yeah, I think this is the only really clean setup I can see on ETH, so I'll drop this in chat. What's up, Prime? What's up, Domi, Sash? Alright. Also look at USDT. USDT bullish, but sorry, makes sense to reject halfway. Man, I hate TradingView. It just whenever I copy, and I paste on Discord, I was from the previous. I was previously. Right, there we go. Alright, so that's Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. USDT. And thank you. Obviously, if you guys have any alts, just send them in chat. But most alts looks like shit right now. Even Hype kind of doesn't look too hot. USDT. I'm probably just gonna copy it like on 4 hours because it just sends time frame. It's basically the opposite of what I said on Bitcoin, right? I think it goes on time frame. On lower time, on the higher time frame, like it literally does once it loads. I'm holding it because shit is like. I guess it's actually taking the piss with this. Whatever. This is what first. You just like the most bullish chart. Like this is why I had to also cancel my long today. It's just like could we form a low or high? Yes, but it's just come on. I would rather take the long setup if if it lines up with like this 4 hour. I don't think we've this. Bitcoin. Like if we're gonna reject from somewhere here, like would it be nice? So once we put Bitcoin, and then like decision time, like will we make a new low? Hold on, I'll just. So yeah, this is 4 hours supply here before we go any higher, but right now it looks kind of ridiculously bullish. I had marked out this 30-minute demand zone, supply zone, but I just think it goes quite a bit high. So so we can kind of yeah, I would say let's remove that. The one that makes sense to me is this 4 hour supply zone. So I'll look for long triggers around there once we get there. Alright. Let me pop that into chat. Is there anything else you want to look at, Hop? I want to cover indices. Like, no, I'll take a look at. Yeah. It's red on the day, so. But we are. Hold up. Yeah, so it's getting bad here. I mean, honestly, I'm like tempted to be more, but actually, no, just kind of look at all reaction. So it could easily go back up, right? But if this is a true range, you know, or like what's now all yeah, I can see these lows. Actually, hold up, let me remove everything. Yeah, I'll probably take along like around this, like if you get there. This is trade I would take on Hyperliquid. Because there is equal lows, right? Like one of those was really close to tapping it, but quite hit it. So I'll do something like that. I'm not about this imbalance for now. But yeah. It already back in the morning, so you would think about it, but I don't think. This will be a trade I'll take on Hyperliquid. I'm just seeing with this low here, even though there wasn't anything. But you had a wide stop. Right, say you had a wide stop, like 500 points or something. The point is you still got over there, right? No, it was like bottom. So, and here you actually do have equal lows, so it makes sense. So yeah. Okay. Thanks, Elling. Definitely was a short stream today because I don't know, I moved anywhere across. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys on Friday. I don't know. I think someone's streaming after me. We'll see. Okay. Oh no. He's streaming tomorrow. That's my bad. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. Thanks guys for coming. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'll catch you all later. Peace.